Alrighty, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. This is chapter 1 of Mind Power, and it is titled Your Perception is Your Reality. And I want to emphasize something very important. All the lessons are guided by the Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ, and the God that we serve up above. So thank you so much to God. Thank you so much for the inspiration. Thank you for the knowledge and of course the power. And I pray that you are blessed in everything that you try and do in your life. So yeah, let's begin. So your perception is your reality. Well, first and foremost, we've got to understand something very important. Reality is based on a person. It's based on the individual. So the misconception with the world that we live in is that reality is a shared illusion. In other words, people think that everyone is kind of experiencing the same reality, but that's not actually the case. Every person in this world and in this planet, on this planet, is experiencing their own set of reality components. In other words, you could have a personal space, for instance, within your social spaces, relatives, family members, your colleagues, and your people, your vibe, your tribe. And you could have, for instance, a physical body self-image reality in terms of your weight, your health, your conditions within, your blood type, your genes, your genetic makeup, your family genetic components, your DNA, and so forth. And then you've got, for instance, a mental, intellectual reality. So how smart are you? Your IQ, your ideas, for instance, the way and the manner in which you think and process thoughts, and your emotional content, and so forth. So every person has a multitude aspects and avenues of what we call reality. There's financial reality, there's emotional reality, there's political reality. So for instance, we as South Africans within this country, we have 11 official languages. So already we're coming from 11 different perspectives in terms of understanding, and those literally carry vibrations and energy patterns with culture and ethnic backgrounds and social status levels and segregations in terms of, do you feel superior? Do you feel inferior? We've got a past, of course, a past that was segregating the community, segregating the people. So every individual on this planet, whether it's the townships, Soweto, or you live in the suburbs, in the northern suburbs, the eastern suburbs, you live in Durban, KZN, you live down the coast out in Cape Town, or you are living out in Gauteng, every person literally has their own identity and they've got their own reality. And so it is very important for us to emphasize the fact that reality is not necessarily a common shared illusion. Every person is experiencing their own set of realities. So some people are broke, some people are wealthy, some people are educated and broke, some people are uneducated but wealthy, some people are successful and happy in their marriages and their jobs, and some people are unsuccessful but they are single and maybe they don't even have a job. So every person has different dynamics. Some people have a driving license, some people cannot cook, some people are married without kids, some people are single but have many kids, some people are living and surviving on a social grant that is provided by the government, some people have a thriving career and opportunities, some people are famous, and so forth. You get it. The list goes on. So reality is very strange because it's based on your own perception and interpretation of the dynamics that are happening around you. So with that being said, mind power is the foundation of everything. But remember, our biggest message is mind power is God's power. So if mind power is God's power, or rather, now that we know that mind power is God's power and the law of attraction is the law of God, how does that then translate into your perception and your reality? Well, your perception is the way you conceive everything. It's the way the concepts in your brain formulate. Your perception is the manner in which you react and respond to the dynamics of your conditions, your circumstances, the opportunities that are disguised as problems, the things that are happening in your life disguised as events that are uncontrollable and unpredictable. Your perception is a set of beliefs, a set of thoughts, sets and patterns of activity. So your perception is the manner in which your mind works. Every person has their own perception. To perceive something is to conceive something. So when you perceive an event, it's the manner in which you interpret the set of occurrences. So the set of things that you see around you using your 5 different senses, for instance, your sight, hearing, speaking, everything, your nose and so forth, your touch, taste, and the relationships that you have with your family members, colleagues, and so forth, with the educational system and the background that you come from. So some people, for instance, from around the world come from different sets of components in terms of what we call reality. And over the years, that has developed into what we now call perception. Excuse me. Perception is very important in allowing you to think correctly. So moment by moment, you are perceiving a reality. So for instance, this is my fist, this is my arm, this is my hand, and these are my 5 fingers. Now, your perception about this hand, for instance, and my fingers is completely different from my perception about it. So we could see the same thing, but perceive it differently. So I might think that this is a positive situation and scenario, but you may think that you've got something better, and that is your hand. So your perception in relation to my perception is different. Let me give you a better example. If you drive past something, an event, and it is an occurrence, it's something that's happening, something happens, and there's 10 witnesses or there's 20 people witnessing that something happening. With the amount of people that are literally there witnessing this one thing, there will be the equal amount of perceptions within that formed perspective of reality unfolding. In other words, when that event happens, 20 people will perceive it differently based on their own past, their own energy vibration, their own understanding, their own point of being. And therefore, the transpiration, the transformation, the transference of energy based on that event literally is different for every person. So every person is experiencing their own set of realities based on their personal vibration. So we may all see, for instance, let's say we all see a dog. A dog is in front of us, it's a pet or any kind of animal in front of us, and it has a color and it is a certain pet, for instance. Every person has a perception about that animal. So some people, for instance, look at a dog and they remember traumatic experiences. Some people look at a dog and they remember wonderful memories. Some people look at a dog and they think food, because some people around the world eat dogs. Some people look at the dog and think this is a pet. Some people look at the dog and think this is my friend. Some people look at a dog as a security enhancement asset, for instance, Some people look at a dog as an asset in terms of a company. So if you're a security company owner, or you are a policeman, or you are a person that uses the powerful senses of the dog's smell in terms of your career field, your line and duty of service to the people, you'll see a dog as a component essential to your job. So it's not even really inventory, but it is those dogs that you like, an airport dog for instance, or police dog. It's not just a pet, it is a dog that is in use for something. Some people look at the dog as a guide. So for instance, someone that cannot see, visually impaired, they are guided by dogs in terms of, the directions and so forth. So here's the point, you get it. Every person that looks at the dog sees their own reality based on their own perception. So this literally translates into everything. For instance, your mother. You see your mother completely different compared to everyone else. So every other person sees your mother in relation to who they are to that particular person. So your mother may be someone's boss, they may be someone's teacher, they may be someone's wife, they may be someone's sister, they may be someone's daughter. But to you, your mother is your mother. She's not your sister, she's not your friend necessarily, she's not your daughter, she's not your grandmother, she is not your colleague or random neighbor. She is your mother. So your perception in relation to your mother is that of that relationship and that connection. So every piece of reality around you is pretty much determined or interpreted in a similar manner. You see everything based on your own perception, and your perception is formulated by your thoughts and formulated by your emotional attachment to the thought, and therefore the thoughts, emotions, and ultimately the actions are what we know as your belief system. This becomes your perception. So when something happens, it may be a problem for someone else, but because of your perception, what seems like a problem for someone else is an opportunity for you to find a solution and therefore earn an income. So when other people are running away from a fire, the fireman and the fire brigade sees an opportunity to save lives, and therefore their perception of the fire is different in comparison to the person who's the victim of the fire. So the fireman is a hero, and you are perhaps, or someone else is perhaps, the victim. This translates into job opportunities, relationship opportunities, the person you are married to, the person you are in love with. To another person, they don't find them as attractive as you find your partner, for instance. The people that you are attracted to are not attractive to other people. Therefore, your perception in relation to the person is your reality. Hence, beauty lies in the